It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just take it.
Welcome back to another exciting episode from the Krebs Coho channel. This is your host, Krebs Coho, going to be doing a solo cast this time around to a very exciting game. Okay, so we're going to be doing a 2v2 on a map that, okay, you guys probably know what map it is by now, but it's on a map that I want to actually talk about the name in just a second. I will introduce the players and I will get onto that in just a moment. Okay, so we have a 2v2 on this map. And we're going to be featuring the Panzerleute Dr. This is kind of a funny name. I'm just going to read it as it goes. DrOctagonapusBLAAARG. So that is a very strange name. I think it's actually kind of comedic in a way, and I definitely like that. I like players who do something a lot different in their names. So I think I might call him Blarg. I'll see what happens naturally throughout this game. His ally is going to be randomguy. Suppose there's nothing more known about him. I suppose he's just another random guy. There's ZeroShiftReloaded, and that he's playing as the Americans, and his teammate is DingoReloaded, playing as the Americans. So both of these are going to be the Americans for the Allies, and they're both part of the Reloaded clan. So you guys already know that they're good players. So nothing to say there, but this map is going to be something, I'm not even going to say controversial, but the last time I casted a game on this map, basically a lot of people were trying to help me pronounce the, to pronounce it. And, well, my original impressions of what this would be called is Wolfheze, and the correct way to say it would be with a V, which is Wolfheze, but there is even a more correct way to say it, and that is the Dutch way. Somebody actually linked me to the Dutch Wikipedia page for the actual city, Wolfheze, in real life. And so basically there's this audio clip on there of this guy speaking about the city and the correct pronunciation of the city. And so if you guys heard what I said there, it's Wolfheze, and that's very strange. I've got the guy's voice in my head saying it, so hopefully I'm replicating it as accurately as possible. Wolfheze, that is the name of this map. So hopefully you guys will not mind me saying such a funny word, but then again, it's Dutch. I really enjoy the European languages. I'm quite a fan of them just because I don't understand anything about what they may say, and obviously they sound very different from English, but there's just something very appealing, something very curious to hear such great languages such as Dutch, German, and all those other great languages in the European mainland. Just absolutely love Dutch, for example. It's just a very nice, fluid-like language, although, you know, it has a bit of it has a strange twang to it, so to say, but then again, it's a very nice language. So let's see about this game. So I haven't managed to post a game in a little bit of time, just because I have been taking a wee break. Hopefully you guys have not suffered too long. I'm sure it was like a prison for you. I'm sure it was that bad. But this is going to be quite a good game. I managed to screen it about 8 times. It was just lots of constant action, so you guys are going to absolutely love this stuff. So if we're going to take a look at what's happening on the field, I'll get back to talking in a moment, but let's just focus on the action at hand, because, you know, it's great stuff. So let's look at the tactical map. I think the tactical map is a great way to start off a cast. So let's look at everything that's going on. So the right hand side is completely being capped away by the what is this? The engineers? Yes, it is the engineers, and they're capped away on the right hand side, and the Panzerleute and the Wehrmacht are going to be focusing on the center side. So we've seen tons of action here already. We've seen multiple guys die, and they're rolling on the floor, rolling on the ground, and, well, lots of action, so to say. If we're going to be looking at what the opponents have at the moment, it's just riflemen. So loads of riflemen from the Americans. The riflemen, in fact, even have a heavy machine gun team, but that is not the HMG from the Americans. It is the MG42, hence why we're hearing a total different sound and the whole different look about it. So that was just due fact because they captured an MG from the Wehrmacht. So a big loss for them to be losing a MG so early on to the Americans, just because the MG is meant to be a counter to all these riflemen in the beginning. And obviously, when you're giving your enemy your own HMGs, you're just sort of using your own weapons against yourself. So mass movement of guys here. This is just not going to look good for this MG at all. Could they actually be taken out? It looks like it might be. And yes, it is taken out. Another big loss for the Wehrmacht. So it doesn't seem like the Wehrmacht are really pushing their weight at the moment. In fact, they've actually lost 2 MGs so far. So that is not good. I do not like seeing that sort of stuff. To be losing your units so carelessly, so to say. So the Wehrmacht, the axes are being pushed on heavily. The right hand side is being capped away at. And if we're just looking at the mini-map, it's just totally being encompassed so early on when the Wehrmacht, especially the Panzer Elite, need their fuel to tech up, and you're being pushed back so much, then, you know, it's going to not look good at all. So let's switch on over to the Allies and just see what's going on with them. They've got a plus 30 income of fuel, and we only had a plus 10 for the Wehrmacht, the Axis. And so what is this? DrOctagonapusBLAAARG, so BLAARG, managed to get a logistic company out, which is kind of an interesting choice. He decided to get some scout cars out of there. And what is this, with some MG action coming down, but we have that scout car over here, obviously going to be on the right hand side of the map, and not really a bad decision either. Obviously it's going to be good for observation posting sectors, get some extra resources from that, and also covering the right hand side is going to be quite important as well. So as you guys can see, taking a lot of damage from the riflemen, however also doing a lot of damage back towards them. So the riflemen just trying to get in close to it and do as much damage as possible. But when you got so many riflemen like this, it's just going to be a very bad day for the scout car. It's not going to survive whatsoever, and here we go. The scout car is going down and receiving Veteran C1 on ZeroShiftReloaded Rifleman Squad. So cool sort of stuff. So away from the action now, let's talk about what else has been happening on the channel. If you guys have been seeing what else I've been doing, I managed to do a World of Tanks replay review sort of thing in the last game that I did. And I know that's sort of an iffy thing to do because a lot of my viewers on here enjoy watching co-casts, and I totally agree. I mean, this channel is pretty much dedicated to Company of Heroes. But, you know, just in the meantime, while I was taking my break, I wanted to enjoy doing something a little bit different. So I think joining World of Tanks is actually a pretty good decision. I really enjoy the game, and I'm thinking of actually doing some casts for it here and there, and posting on their forums just to get other people involved with this channel, different communities. And, you know, I think it's sort of good because I'm going to be bringing out Company Heroes, I'm going to be doing World of Tanks, just going to be a variety of stuff. And I know some of you do not enjoy these games, World of Tanks, and other games. I know you're die-hard Company Heroes fans. If you don't like it, then I just would recommend avoiding it like the plague. I mean, if it obviously isn't going to fit your criteria of what you enjoy from this channel, then I think just hold on a little bit and wait until the next Company of Heroes cast comes out. Likewise, I'm going to be bringing these Company of Heroes casts as much as possible. Me and Brian have some plans coming forward. And also there's that thing to look forward in mid-August when the tournament comes out. That's going to be a huge thing. We just recently had the Game Replays tournament, which finished not too long ago. And, well, I'm planning on doing a similar tournament, but in August. And this tournament that I'll be running is actually going to have a much larger prize. So at the moment, the prize that I have accumulated, this is mostly from donations, should I say, is £181. And so this is still 2 months away, but when you're thinking about all these donations coming in, I really appreciate all of you guys that have managed to donate, and even just watching the channel. I really appreciate all these people who have managed to donate. I've even gotten some huge amounts. Some people have donated £50, for example. When you're talking about that in American dollars, that's around $80 or so, and from one person, that's, I don't know, it's really nice in a way that people appreciate what we do on this channel, and they appreciate the amount of effort that goes into it. And it definitely does inspire us and motivate me as a caster to bring out more and more games of more higher quality things for you. And so this tournament is obviously going to be something very good for all of you to enjoy. I'm going to try to make it open to everyone, and the prizes are going to be big. You know, I want to do some different stuff in it. I don't want to make it only first, second, and third place prize. I also want to do some other cool stuff, like who can maybe get the most sniper kills. You know, these bonus prizes in the game. So whoever can get the most sniper kills in the game, they'll get, say, $20. And it's just these little cool things that you can pick up along the way. And, you know, it's just something to spice up the tournaments, right? And so back to the game, what else has been happening on the field? The Americans have been maintaining quite a good hold on the center and pretty much right across the map except the right-hand side. They've managed to hold down the center line, they managed to capture the left-hand side. It just looks like the Panzer Elite are moving on the right-hand side due to there being some exposure in the front line, and there is nothing here to defend it. So the medic tent went down. That's not very good. Obviously a little bit of a loss, but not too much of a loss, to be honest, because they're quite cheap to get. So the Americans have managed to put down a forward HQ in the train station over here, so that's pretty cool to be doing that. Obviously going to be very nice to reinforce nearby. And what is this? A T-17 coming out from Dingo. So both players working in unison together. So lots of action going here. I really want to check out what's happening in the base just to elaborate a bit on their build order. But just let's finish off what's going on at hand. So T-17 taking some shots out on the Panzer Elite, just chasing them away. And actually finishing off that veterancy squad. I didn't believe that would happen, but a long-range lucky shot from the T-17 managed to take out a Panzer Elite squad with, I believe, veterancy 1 on them. So very, very good. Nice, like seeing that sort of kills coming down from the T-17. T-17 is obviously a great infantry killer. It's not as fast as it used to be in 2.601, but you know, it's still absolutely fantastic. Fantasimo against the infantry that don't have Panzer Strikes, obviously. So let's see what's happening with the build order. So we have 2 barracks here, and this actually looks like it could be from the same player, but obviously it's not. There's DingoReloaded for barracks, and ZeroShift for barracks, and a WSC. So rather than Dingo going for WSC as well, he went for his motor pole, and obviously it's just combining arms and doing different things. Another thing I want to mention about the viewers. Now, this channel has a very big diversity of people who watch it. You really get the absolute broad spectrum of skill levels. So you'll get new people that have probably even played this game for just a few days or a few weeks, and then you got people who have been playing this game for years. And there's obviously a whole different experience levels out there that are watching these sort of casts. And just the only thing that I want to mention to the expert players is just to hold on in whenever I'm explaining something that you might consider basic or a bit noobish in a way, just to fill the entire criteria that, you know, the more new players might appreciate why certain players do certain things. And so that's what I mean by the Americans going for the WSC and then another player going for the motor pole. It's just using combined arms. You don't want to go for the exact same things because it's kind of pointless. You really want to have the diversity of stuff out on the field. So hopefully that makes sense to all of you guys out there, and it's just basically appreciating that there's other people that are going to be watching this as well, and I'm really trying to hit everybody's likeness on what they like from these casts. So the Americans are moving in with their riflemen. The stormtroopers are moving in from the Wehrmacht. Obviously they have gone for the Blitzkrieg, and which is kind of a good choice, should I say, because the stormtroopers with their camouflage going to be absolutely perfect at taking out the T-17s, especially when they close in. And if you guys saw that, strafing runs from the airborne doctrine, just completely pelting the ground of the riflemen, however not even killing any of them. And this is a sort of funny thing. There's been debates on forums before of whether strafing run should do friendly fire against their own infantry, and sort of an iffy topic because, you know, obviously it means that you get killed yourself. But it's sort of funny at the same time. Say if you had riflemen mixed in with a bunch of Panzer Elite, Panzer Grenadiers, and then strafing run came down, only the Panzer Grenadiers got killed. Sort of an iffy thing as why they would not get the riflemen get killed as well. But you know, it's open to debate. And this is just meant to. These casts are meant to be about what's happening on at hand, and not really my opinion of what it should be. It's just a bit funny. So what else is going on? Scout car over here being closed in on by the riflemen with their bars, and an infantry half-track with an MG42 managing to suppress them. So look at all the bodies on the ground from the riflemen. This is just loads and loads of guys dead on the ground, and the scout car is absolutely fine. So the scout car is obviously put down at the moment on the munitions point. It's a high munitions point as well. So that is obviously capitalizing on all that munitions that you can get out of there. And so I very much so like that. Very good indeed. So the riflemen are retreating again. These ones only have no bars, so they have their normal weapons, and that is just due fact because the motor pole came out instead of going for bars. So the T-17 just shooting away at the not stormtroopers, the MG-42, but really needs to get repaired. I mean, you should realize that there's stormtroopers on the field. Gotta be a bit wary about that. Gotta be a bit cautious. Obviously, you do not want to lose that T-17 so fast. So let's see what else is happening in the bases. Dingo is just reinforcing. Supply yard coming down from Zero Shift, so he's obviously thinking about building something, either a motor pool or a tank depot. And in my humble opinion, if you're going to be doing something like that, it's probably going to be a tank depot. So what is this? A shimwagon is revealing the snipers, and an armored car is closing in on the snipers, taking one of them out. However, this armored car does not have a great range of seeing camouflage, but if close enough, it can reveal them. There we go. That's what we saw. We saw this other sniper being revealed by the armored car, taking both of them swiftly out and then retreating out of there. Doing that sort of drive-by close action maneuver. Hard, very painful thing to see. Two snipers going down so easily like that. Man, I wish I saw how many kills they had. If they didn't have that much kills, then that would have been a huge loss for the Americans, just losing them like that. So it seems like the Panzer are trying to recover. The Axis are trying to recover, trying to push forward. However, they're still pretty much fighting at the front of their base. It's not looking good for them whatsoever. The Stew is coming out from the Blitzkrieg. Love seeing that sort of stuff. The Stew is obviously going to be great at taking out all those riflemen, along with probably doing decent damage against the T-17. So the half-track, where are you going half-track, is trying to do something. Perhaps it has some guys in there, maybe stormtroopers, maybe he's trying to get in somewhere specific to harass. I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to see what this half-track is doing. But instead it looks like it's going to be rushing away to, could it be down here, maybe this victory point or this fuel point? It could be likely if he's just going to be hanging about down here. Obviously it's going to be sort of a good thing, because having a half-track down there is obviously going to basically refocus what units the Americans have to throw at it in order to take it out. They have to take guys from the front and save what is being taken away at the back. So the half-track is getting out of there. The Pioneers are capturing whilst under fire from the T-17, but the half-track luckily actually got out of there, so making it out from behind enemy lines back to their own home. Pretty cool indeed. So random Dingo has the airborne doctrine. He has the airborne unlocked. Does he actually have any? Doesn't look like it. And wow, we're actually just looking at the amount of men that Dingo has, and that's next to none, to be honest. That's really not that much. Let's see what else the other reload player has. Zero Shift. He has almost next to none as well. Oh my god, this is huge losses, and this is what I mean. Losing snipers like that is just such a big loss. And oh my god, I hope this sniper is not taken out as well. Could it be? It's almost dead. It looks very likely, and yes it is. No! Oh gosh. God, oh man, that is absolutely horrible to see. If we look at Zero Shift, he only has 2 rifleman squads and an engineer squad out at 18 minutes in the game. This is looking so bad for the Americans. Even the way they have managed to capture so much territory, it's just so bad they lost so much. So let's switch on over to Dr. Octo. Dr. Octo has more on the field at the moment. He has a few PGs. He has a scout car and an armored car. So that obviously means that he has the Panzerjäger command, which could mean that he could go on to the Marder later on and serve some anti-tank. So what was this being taken out? It looks like it might have been, was it T-17? Something exploded there. Could have been something, that's right. It's always something that happens. And so if we switch on over to Random Guy, what does he have? Random Guy is doing absolutely well on unit preservation. He has a load of his guys still alive, loads of stormtroopers, He also has multiple stews, and he has a half track, and he has an MG42, and he has a pack, and he has a Pioneer squad. So very well done to Random Guy for keeping his guys alive and just having the right stuff out at the right time. So these stews are going to be very good, especially from long range like this. They can't be harassed or anything. So big artillery shell, here we go, and this victory point is blasted to the past by the Panzer Elite, obviously with their scorched earth tactics there, meaning that the scorched earth doctrine is selected by the Panzer Elite. So I absolutely love this sort of stuff. Now you might be thinking, when do I use scorched earth? When should I blow up a point? And the times that you would do so is in desperate times. So say for example, if you are fighting your opponent on the front, if you have managed to push him back to his base and you're having a sort of hard time capturing those points near his base, but you want to deny it from him, well, all you have to do is do scorched earth on it and blow it up. There you go. Then it obviously makes it a lot harder for them to recap it. So Martyr is out from Dr. Octo the PE, and this Hellcat is being absolutely damaged, devastated, and that is from Zero Shift. So he went for the tank depot. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And both of the players have tank depots, so I like seeing that sort of stuff. So that means we're going to start seeing some heavy tanks on the field. So starting off this M18 Hellcat, chasing down that armored car and managing to take it out as well, and now hopefully trying to chase away the stormtroopers, trying to get right on in there to force them to move and not cap that point, but unfortunately not quick enough, and instead that point is decapped. So the M18 really needs to be careful what he's doing. He's very low on health, needs to be careful about any stormtrooper squads. Also likewise any martyrs, long shot martyrs, and that sort of stuff alike. So I've really enjoyed all these tanks recently. I think I've really started to appreciate all the tanks in Company of Heroes ever since I started playing World of Tanks. And, you know, World of Tanks is just tanks galore. And, you know, you have all these historically accurate tanks in there. And a lot that aren't even featured in Company of Heroes. And it's just great actually playing these tanks for real in sort of first-person-like nature. And so it's pretty cool now seeing them in Company of Heroes and actually being like, oh yeah, that's in World of Tanks, and you know, in World of Tanks they're actually really good tanks. The martyrs aren't so weak. They're actually very good. But anyway, so the martyr is just shooting away, and the funk wagon from Dr. Octo is siphoning off some of the resources from the allies. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do anything if he stays in a neutral territory. So, kind of an iffy thing. He needs to get in enemy territory and start doing that job. Now, we don't usually see the funk wagon at all in PE games, but the beauty about 2.602 is that they now have the camouflage, and that is the absolute beauty about the funk wagon now. So now that it has its camouflage, it can actually do something without being destroyed or detected. And so now a lot of strategies I've seen are starting to come out about people using funk wagons, and I absolutely love that stuff because the funk wagon is an underdog sort of unit. It's something that a lot of people have not really appreciated its role as much as they should have. It's a very good unit if you use it properly. So the funk wagon really should be somewhere else on the map, perhaps along the right hand side down at the south. Then they could siphon off a lot more resources from the allies. That would make a lot more sense. So what else is going on? So switch over to Dr. Octo. He has the Hummel. And now this is another sort of interesting pronunciation. It's what I usually would say is the Hummel. However, I do believe some people actually call it the Hummel. Which I'm not exactly sure if that might be the right pronunciation or not. However, I think you guys should correct me if it is. So I think I'll just keep on calling it the Hubble for now, but it may be Hummel, or something like that along those lines. So definitely help me out with my pronunciation. I will learn from those my mistakes and never do it again. It's like teaching a dog new tricks, so to say, although not as demeaning, not as belittling. Obviously, I'm not a dog. So the Hummel from the Scorched Earth is obviously going to be very good. Now, if you're looking at the Hummel, let's just talk about the Hummel itself. 10 population, obviously reduced from 2.601, and 600 manpower. Now, if you're talking about other tanks such as the King Tiger, which is 1,000 manpower, 600 really is not that much. So 600 manpower is going to be a big investment. However, it's definitely going to be paying off. If we just look at it, the Hummel just absolutely devastating the medic station here, force retreating some of these squads, and just doing an absolute Fantasio job at aggressing on the allies. 600 manpower, although it might be a bit costly, it's not that costly, and it definitely pays for itself. Also a very nice looking tank indeed, very large, huge chassis, very big gun. Absolutely fantastic unit. So another medic station is put down from Zero Shift. Absolutely love this. They really do love to invest in their infantry at the moment, especially with putting down those medic stations. So the armored car just managing to get out of there from the AT gun and staying alive. Staying alive indeed, so the BGs. And so just more action going on, and this is what I mean. When I was watching this game at 8 times speed, it was just absolutely crazy. It was like a Benny Hill sort of game. Just all these units running around in a sort of comedic, cartoonish fashion. It's very funny to watch it in that sort of way. So just MGs coming down on the Panzer Elite, the machine gun emplacement, should I say. Also a Hummel trying to fire away at stuff over here. I'm guessing it might be a bit inaccurate. Maybe it's trying to go for the machine gun emplacement. Indeed it is. One shot devastating a huge chunk of its health. Another shot could easily take it out if it lands point blank right on top of it. So it's kind of an iffy thing, to be honest, putting down a machine gun emplacement here. If we look at Zero Shift, maybe he has loads of fuel. So he has 101. I suppose that is plenty. Maybe he's not so keen to go for his armor at the moment. Maybe he'd rather get a machine gun placement down and protect the victory point. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. So Zero Shift is putting down some barbed wire with his riflemen. So obviously means he's gone for the infantry doctrine, and he has the defensive operations enabled. So by putting down these barbed wire here and this MG, it's obviously going to be putting quite a hassle on the Panzer Elite and the Wehrmacht to actually recap that victory point. And if we're actually looking at the victory points themselves, 121 for the Axis and 455 for the Americans. So what's sort of funny is that in a lot of these games where the opponents are playing against each other, and say they manage to chase their opponent back to their base, they really try to maintain the game in terms of points. And you know, it's sort of funny, like if you're going to be maintaining the game on points, usually you're not going to be teching up so well. You're going to try to maintain the force you have at hand, and this is what's been happening with the Americans. They've pretty much had infantry almost this entire game, and that's just due to the fact that they've been trying to maintain their front and trying to maintain those points, 121 points. And just by doing something like that, it's obviously going to be a bit hectic on your teching and a bit difficult. As soon as you're pushed back, it's gonna be in a very difficult position, because if you've got that sort of weakish army and it hasn't been teched up to any sort of armor, then obviously when you're pushed back, it's going to be difficult to even recover. So that's what we're seeing from the Americans at the moment. They need to recap this scorched victory point and then start ticking away the points on the Axis. However, it's going to be difficult to do that when there's so much action in the center of the map. Now I heard from the voice, from the commentator, the whatever you want to call it, the guy that speaks during the game, saying that a sniper was taken out. So it looks like maybe another American sniper may have been taken out. That would be another big loss from the Americans. Americans really trying to hang in there, really just trying to win this battle as best as they can. Americans definitely love a winner. They do not like losers. Doesn't matter how you get there, but in the end, as long as you're a winner, then you're good for the country, so to say. So, but the riflemen just trying to do their best, trying to take out this heavy machine gun emplacement, and rightly so. It looks like they're going to do a very good job against that. So another MG42 probably going to be going down from the Wehrmacht. Is it going to happen? Wow, that is quite a lucky MG42 squad indeed. The armored car shooting about on the rifleman, and a sticky bomb going down on the armored car, now immobilized. An iffy situation indeed. What do? Do you keep on fighting and throwing another sticky on there, or do you retreat? Kind of an iffy thing at the moment, because you got stormtroopers here which could easily throw a bundled grenade, and likewise you still got this armored car here that is shooting on you, and so the rifleman looked quite persistent to throw another sticky bomb, but just staying there that long meant they were taken out. Big loss for the Americans, losing so much. And if we look at the units they have now, 3 riflemen, and what is this? A howitzer. Pretty cool. And an engineer squad. But really, 29 minutes into the game, pretty bad unit preservation to have that little men left. Also 3 riflemen. What is this? A Sherman and an MG42, I believe, or could it be a normal thingamajig? It does look like an MG42 out from the other American. So really not that much. There's an M4 Sherman on the field. However, let's see what can counter it. There is a Stu, which will not do that much. There are packs on the field, which will do a lot against the Sherman. And so the Sherman really needs to be careful, especially now that the pack is literally right there. And what was that? That was a bombing run, taking out a bunch of guys. I believe that might have been a pack right there that was taken out. So the Airborne really doing a good job of trying to maximize the effectiveness of their doctrine. The Sherman's so close to be taken out. One more shot will easily destroy, and oh my gosh, big loss for the Americans. 255 fuel. That's plenty for them. However, checking out Zero Shift, what does he have? He has only 64 fuel, which is not that much. He will be really restricted on building armored tanks now that he only has that much income, and he only has plus 22 income in total. Iffy. The Panzer Elite are trying to keep themselves in there with the points. They're actually capping away at the stuff over here. They used a Stormtrooper squad to sneak their way in, capping away at the fuel point and the victory point, forcing a few Rifleman squads to divert their attention in on them just to manage to try and take them out. So more Hummel shots coming down, more of the Hummel shots. So devastating, big plumes. Just absolutely crazy artillery. Love seeing them on the field. More medics running about, and really just trying to maintain their hold. Panzer Elite are doing a very good job. What we saw early in the game was that they were struggling. They're absolutely struggling to push in on their opponents from pretty much their baseline. They're pretty much fighting at their base. But now they've managed to push them back right onto the center point. They've destroyed this victory point yet again. Obviously going to make this very difficult for the Americans to even win this by victory points. If it's just going to constantly be destroyed like this, then it's obviously going to be very iffy. So I suppose it's a very good thing that the PE are in this sector, because the victory point is actually in this sector as well, so they can actually destroy the point. If it was in the other sectors, if they were in these sectors, should I say, then they probably couldn't be able to do that. So the machine gun emplacement, very badly damaged, just about to be taken out from the Martyr, and a bunch of engagements coming down in the center. So the riflemen just being engaged by the Hummel. 2 Hummels, should I say. Oh no, so devastating, these things. Just bit by bit. This is what usually happens in artillery games. But the longer the artilleries are alive, the more they'll wear you down. So just over the course of this game, just the fact that there's Hummels that are alive for so long, always shooting their shells down across the map, you know, it's gonna devastate the Americans bit by bit, one by one, and it's just gonna wear away at their lines. And that is why we see all this pushing coming forward, the Americans getting pushed back, and basically the Americans just really need to keep their unit preservation a little bit better. That is the reason why they got pushed on to this point. This is why they're not at the Axis front line anymore. just due to the fact that they don't have that many units alive. So loads of veterancy on the Panzer Grenadiers here. Veterancy 3 and Veterancy 2 on this one. This is just going to be so devastating. If we're talking about the veterancy on the Panzer Elite, obviously they're going to be very accurate. They're going to shoot a lot faster, and it's going to be very hard to be put up against it. So what was that? That looked like a shot coming down from somewhere. Could it have been from the Tiger? Could have definitely have been there. Very devastating, taking out 4 of those riflemen in that squad. The Sherman is trying to do some sort of dodging maneuvers, however, not likely going to stay alive for that much longer. What is this? This looks like actually sector artillery. So it's sector artillery that took out those riflemen and is coming down. So that is again from the Scorched Earth Doctrine. Switching over to Dr. Octo, seeing how much ammunition he has. He has 120. He has actually maxed himself out in terms of population. So those Hummels, the Hummel, 10 population, 20 population in total. Obviously going to cost a lot. If we look at all the units he has as well, oh my god, that is a lot of units. So loads of Mars, loads of Panzer Grenadiers, and that is why he has the maximum cap. And basically all that he can do is lose some of them, lose some of his squads to reduce the population cap, likewise, or gaining other points to increase it. So the destroyed victory point has is booby trapped as well, so a double whammy. Not only do you have to repair it, but you also have to dodge the booby trap. Indeed, very hard for the Americans. They have such a hard life at the moment. Just the Hummel always coming down, just always devastating them. And that was a perfect example. If we looked at what happened, there's a piece that went flying over here somewhere from the riflemen. So devastating. The Martyrs, the Axis, are trying to fight along the right hand side. They have a Stuka out, so an upgraded half track, and not a bad decision either. If the Hummels are doing such a good job at taking out the men, then why not build another one, build a Stuka, and just harassing them even more. If you've got the ammunition and you've got the half track, then why not make it useful, right? Especially in this late of the game. Half tracks really will not be as effective as they were earlier on in the game, especially if they're upgraded. And so by just getting that Stuka upgrade, at least he's keeping that more useful for a longer period of time in this game. So another sniper out from Zero Shift. I think he's trying to focus fire on any Panzer Grenadier squads, just maybe getting lucky. Maybe he's just hoping that he's going to get lucky and take out the final man in the squad and take them out that sort of way. So the Stuka coming down on top of all the infantry here, pretty much having a incendiary-like effect on the ground. A very big blast as well. But the Stu looking to be in a very bad position, instead being taken out by the Hummel. Oh my gosh, the Americans are really losing so much. As soon as they try to have foothold somewhere, it's just absolutely battered by the artillery, by the Stukas. It's just going to be so hard to even do anything, especially if these AT guns, which are stationary, they're just asking people to be artillery strike. So quite an iffy thing to be doing. Obviously, the prime target is, when you've got artillery being used against you, is to take out the artillery. Obviously that's going to be quite an iffy thing and a hard thing to do if they have so much support over here, and that is what all the Hummels have. Very hard to do. So the Americans responding with their own howitzer, just taking out a few casualties on the Axis over here, and doing a very good job as well. So basically trying to wear at each other, the Hummels and Stuka wearing at the Americans, and the howitzer wearing at the Axis. But the Axis very keen, or the Americans very keen and intent on trying to capture this center fuel point. However, unlikely, despite being bombarded by shells and fire from everywhere. But the Americans trying to hold on as best as they can. They've got the left-hand side, a majority of it, pushed that back, push the Axis back to the center line. However, they are losing a lot of the right-hand side. The Americans having a very hard time over here. The Tiger, the Stu, the Pack, the MG42, the Stuka, the Martyr, pretty much every counter that you would ever need. to take on your opponent. Everything is here, so it's going to be very hard to break. You definitely need some artillery shots here and a sort of overwhelming force to try and even take that on. But really, both opponents, both allies, should I say, both Americans are sort of separated if we look at them. All of Zero Shift's units are over here, whilst where is Thingy? Where is Dingo? Dingo has an MG42, but where are the rest of his units? There's really not that much. And man, if we're looking at unsigned squads, look at that. He has 2 riflemen, an MG42, and an airborne squad. That is really next to nothing. And it's sort of, in a way, he's becoming the burden, as to say. Just because if you don't have that many infantry or that many units out on the field by this point in the game, when it's such a crucial point as well, when you really need to start thinking about defending what you have left, then you know you really got to keep these squads alive, keep whatever fighting force you have. But obviously very difficult to do that if you're going to be constantly artillery striked. So the Tiger moving on in, Veteran C2, being shot at from the back by a Zero Shift with his AT gun, but even a back rear armor shot really not taking that much out from the Tiger. Kind of an iffy thing to be doing. But the Tiger, so harassive, is in fact going in behind the houses over here. These houses are going to be providing such a great cover for the tank, for the Tiger. And whilst that was all happening, the Tiger had such a great opportunity to, in fact, just harass, take out the howitzer, and take out the airborne squad. And now is moving back to avoid that AT gun, which is initially placed on the front. So basically harassing his opponent so badly that he has to refocus his guys elsewhere in order to even combat this Tiger that is harassing his base. So 121 points for the Axis and 376 for the Americans. Also being heavily aggressed on the base. This is really not looking good whatsoever for the Allies. The Stuka is bombarding it, and oh my gosh, here it comes down right at the reinforced point. However, lucky, very, very lucky indeed, that there were hardly any Americans over there. This house is going down, and all the Americans are focusing their attention on the city, the town over here. Now, we really do not see that much action in the town. It's quite rare that you would see any fighting going along on this side of the map. Usually most people just avoid this entirely and just cap the points over here and then leave it. But it's pretty cool that now we're going to be seeing sort of change from open field combat to close combat, urban sort of jungle combat, if you want to call it like that. So I like seeing that stuff. The MG42 in the church managing to suppress all the rifleman squads that can't even get in there and properly take out this Tiger with a few stickies. But this Tiger is badly damaged, needs a hero, needs a pioneer squad to repair it. But what is this? A recon plane, I believe. It's just scouting above, seeing what's there. Switching on over to... no, it's Zero Shift. He's only got DingoReloaded. There we go. So Dingo using a recon plane there, I believe, but not really doing anything. He only got to see what they had and not throwing down a strafing run or a bombing run after that. In fact, he really doesn't have that much munitions. He's only got 49. Wow, that's not much at all. The Stuka just constantly devastating the riflemen. Oh my god! Jeez, that took out a lot of their guys. So that's the last thing they needed. Luckily, this is very, very lucky that those squads managed to survive there. It was very lucky that only individual men in those squads were taken out and not the full squads, or else that would look like, if they stayed there, it would have been a much badder day. I bet if that rocket was just a bit like a centimeter to the left or to the right or something like that, it could easily have taken out all of those squads. But the Americans, badly damaged barracks, badly damaged buildings, taking a lot of harassive amounts of damage on the base. They don't even care about what is happening on the front anymore. They realize that the Axis have so much heavy armor, artillery, Stews with their Veteran C3 and their armored skirts. Obviously the Axis have managed to basically overpower them with all their armor, all their might. So it's going to be even difficult to even recover from this. If you're in the Americans' position, what could you do? I bet all that you could really do is just try to keep on fighting a losing battle and keeping that unit preservation up. Obviously, you will have to be quite tactical in how you come across things, and quite ingenious and intuitive, and come up with some strategic ways of outmaneuvering your opponent and forcing them to retreat. Just trying to maintain your foothold as long as possible until you can get back in the race. And that is really all you can do at this point when your opponent has so much in terms of combating you. Obviously, very difficult thing to recover from. But the Axis have very strong hold on the center. They have loads of guys here. The Americans can't even push forward. It looks like the Americans are just trying to even capture away at the town. They're just trying to fight something here, but really how successful is that going to be? Who knows? This MG42 in the church is taken out. So I suppose there's multiple ways of taking out an MG42 in the church. You can use sniper, you can use a flamethrower, or you can just freaking use a howitzer shoot and blow up the entire building and take out the MG42 that way. So it all works in the end. That is the same goal, right? What else is going on? The Panzer Grenadiers, 4-man squads, camping at the center, trying to cut off the Americans, no doubt, from the rest of the resources that they have. Panzerschrecks, the riflemen over here, obviously picking this up from the stormtroopers, as we haven't seen Panzerschrecks on any of the PE. And, pretty much the last battles of the game. If we look, it's 45 minutes and 45 minutes, 30 seconds. This airborne squad is already taking some shots from the Martyr, however not going to be taken out. And the Americans are doing quite a decent push. They're managing to actually move a bit forward to try and take out this Hummel as best as they can. Can the AT gun take it out? And yes, it does manage to take it out. However, they really should start thinking about moving back this AT gun right now. Do your damage and get the heck on out of there. That's what you need to start doing. Unit preservation, as I keep on saying. But it looks like the Americans are totally cut off from the left-hand side points now. They basically have next to nothing. All they have left is a munitions point, high munitions point over here, providing them plus 16 munitions. However, they don't have even a fuel income, I believe. Only just the plus 5 that you initially get from even being in a match. So very low income rate for them. However, it doesn't really matter for Zero Shift. He's not even opting for his armor anyway. He's got 422 floating about. So the Americans, this is the last straw for them probably. The Stews and the Tiger is moving in, just taking out the HQ, which is flaming. It's a blaze of fire at the moment. Really not looking good for them at all. 179 points for the Americans and 121 for the Axis, and whoa, that is the end of the game. So I'm guessing the Reloaded clan must have dropped from that. Must have. They couldn't have won by points. Iffy indeed, and they obviously didn't win by annihilation, so they must have dropped. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I want to start off with that. The Americans could have actually won this game very early on if they managed to keep their unit preservation a bit better and solidified the front line against the Axis. But the Axis were doing a very good job in trying to keep that veterancy there, and then just hanging in on the fight and focusing on the fronts that were not guarded so well. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed this cast. This is obviously nothing to do with the tournament. Me and Ryan are going to try to get to that quite shortly when we can, as soon as Ryan has some free time. So we'll get to casting the finals game, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. But anyway, this is Krebs Coho and Stayin Alive, no doubt.